You have been taught to pray as a beggar, pleading with a distant god for scraps of favor, and in this you have been misled. The truth is, the prayer that reaches the ear of God is not an appeal for anything, but a profound act of listening. It has nothing to do with words you speak into the air and everything to do with the silence you allow to speak into you. For years, you may have felt your petitions hit the ceiling and fallen back unanswered, leaving you to wonder if you were heard or if you were alone. I am here to reveal that the failure was not in God's willingness to listen, but in your understanding of the very nature of prayer itself. What if I told you that effective prayer requires no outer change, but an inner, radical shift in consciousness? What if the secret has been waiting within your own being, untouched and unrecognized? In this sacred encounter, we will dismantle the illusion of the begging bowl and step into the reality of the fulfilled consciousness. You will discover why your past prayers have seemed to fail and how, by turning within to the one I am, you can engage with a power that has already established your harmony, wholeness, and peace. If your heart has been prepared for this revelation, if you are ready to move from a seeker to a beholder, then I invite you to perform a sacred act. Subscribe to this channel and consecrate this path of unfoldment that we may walk it together. And to signal your readiness to move beyond words into the experience, mark this moment by commenting the number 7, the symbol of spiritual completion and the rest that comes when striving ceases. You see, we have all been conditioned to approach prayer as an act of asking. From our earliest memories, we are taught to fold our hands, close our eyes, and present our list of needs and wants to a celestial figure we imagine is seated somewhere beyond the clouds. We pray for health, for financial relief, for a change in our relationships, for a better job. We send these fervent requests outward and upward, hoping they will be received, considered, and approved. And when the specific outcome we so desperately sought fails to materialize on our schedule, we are left with a profound sense of confusion, disappointment, and often a secret feeling of failure. We wonder, was I not good enough? Was my faith too weak? Did I not use the right words? This entire framework, this deeply ingrained spiritual habit, is what must be completely and irrevocably shattered if we are ever to touch the hem of the garment of true prayer. The fundamental error lies in the direction of our attention. We are looking toward the outer world of effects, the world of conditions and circumstances, and we are asking for that world to be rearranged for our benefit. We see a sick body and we pray for health. We see an empty bank account and we pray for abundance. We see a conflicted relationship and we pray for peace. But this is like seeing a shadow on the wall and praying for the shadow to change. It is a futile effort, for the shadow has no substance of its own. It is merely an effect, cast by an object standing in the light. To change the shadow, you must move the object. To change the condition, you must access the level of cause. True prayer, then, is not an attempt to alter the shadows of our human experience. It is a radical shift of consciousness away from the world of effects and into the world of cause. It is the conscious withdrawal of our faith from the problem and the reinvestment of that faith in the one divine presence and power that is the substance of all that is. Think of it this way. You are sitting in a movie theater, completely absorbed in the drama unfolding on the screen. The hero is in peril, and you are gripped with fear. In that moment, the image on the screen is your entire reality. But what is the cause of that reality? It is the projector in the booth behind you, shining light through a strip of film. If you were to get up, walk to the projection booth, and change the film, the entire image on the screen would instantly and effortlessly transform. Your human life, with all its dramas of health, finance, and relationships, is that screen. The circumstances you see are the projected images, and your conditioned mind, focused solely on the outer appearance, is the captivated audience member praying for the villain on the screen to disappear. Effective prayer is the act of getting up from your seat. It is the conscious decision to turn your back on the problem, not in denial, but in spiritual wisdom, and to direct your entire attention to the source, the projector. This is what it means to move from the outer to the inner. It is not a physical journey to a secret place inside your head. It is a reorientation of your awareness from the ever-changing panorama of human life to the eternal, unchanging, and perfect reality of God. It is to become still, not to chant more words, but to become silent enough to behold the divine activity that is already present where the problem appears to be. Consider a moment of deep anxiety about a financial obligation. The outer picture screams lack and limitation. The traditional prayer would be to plead, "Please, God, provide the money I need." But this only reinforces your faith in the power of the problem. The prayer of realization approaches it differently. In the silence of your own being, you turn completely away from the fear and the numbers in your bank account. You settle into the truth that your life is not a separate, fragile entity struggling in a hostile universe, but an individual expression of the infinite I Am, the very substance of all supply. You do not ask for supply, you acknowledge that you are already one with it. You rest in the conscious awareness that the divine intelligence that governs the universe knows your need, even before you do, and that its activity is one of infinite and instantaneous fulfillment. You are not creating a new reality. You are aligning your consciousness with the only reality there is. This inner shift, this quiet abiding in the truth, is the change of the film in the projector. The outer picture has no choice but to reorganize itself to conform to this new, higher state of consciousness. The answer may not come as a literal bag of money falling from the sky. It may arrive as a sudden idea, an unexpected opportunity, or a dissolved obligation. The form is irrelevant. The substance is the demonstration of the harmony you have first realized within. This understanding naturally leads us to a profound and often overlooked truth. The world you perceive with your physical senses is not the primary world of cause, but a world of effect. It is a secondary world, a projected reality, much like the images on the movie screen we discussed. To believe that this outer, visible realm is the ultimate reality is the great illusion that binds humanity to a cycle of struggle and petition. We see a broken body and believe in sickness. We see financial lack and believe in poverty. We see conflict and believe in separation. And then, from within that belief, we pray, begging the universe to fix the very images we have mistakenly granted ultimate power. This is the frantic attempt to smooth out the wrinkles on the shadow, never realizing we must adjust the object casting it. The entire purpose of spiritual work, therefore, is to retrain our consciousness to reside not in the world of effect, but in the world of cause. This is the great pivot, the monumental shift that separates a metaphysical approach from a merely religious one. It is the difference between being an actor on the stage, completely caught up in the drama of the plot, and being the playwright who exists in a quiet room knowing the entire story from its origin. The actor reacts to the lines given, the playwright authors them. When you live as the actor in your own life, you are at the mercy of every twist of fate, every line delivered by another person. You are a victim of circumstances, and your prayers are the desperate pleas of a character trying to rewrite a scene from within the scene itself. This is an impossible task. But when you withdraw in consciousness to the seat of the playwright, to the world of cause, everything changes. This is not an escape from life. It is the only way to truly master it. The world of cause is the realm of consciousness itself. It is the inner, spiritual substance of which all outer form is but a temporary expression. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your ingrained attitudes, and the silent knowing of your soul. This is the causal level of your experience. The outer world is literally a mirror, faithfully reflecting the state of your inner world. If you see chaos without, it is because there is chaos within. If you see limitation without, it is because you are holding a consciousness of limitation within. The world does not happen to you. It happens from you. Let us make this practical. You wake up to a day that feels heavy and gray. The weather is dull. Your schedule is overwhelming, and a sense of dread sits in your stomach. The outer world of effect is presenting a picture of burden and gloom. The ordinary person accepts this picture as their reality and has a miserable day, perhaps praying for it to end quickly. But you, understanding the principle of cause and effect, recognize this entire scene as a projection. You pause. You close your eyes to the outer picture. You consciously withdraw your attention from the feeling of dread, the thought of the busy schedule, the appearance of the gray sky. You turn within to the world of cause. Here, in the silence, you do not beg for a better day. Instead, you take up your authority as the playwright of your experience. You consciously introduce a new quality into your consciousness. You may silently acknowledge, the peace of God is the reality of my being. The joy of the Spirit is my strength this day. Divine intelligence governs my schedule and my actions. You do not say these words hoping some external God will hear you. You declare them as the truth of your being from the level of cause. You feel the reality of this peace. You abide in the substance of this joy. You rest in the assurance of this governing intelligence. You are, in this moment, changing the film in the projector. You are not reacting to the shadow. You are adjusting the object. Then you open your eyes and go about your day. The gray sky may remain. The busy schedule may still be on your calendar, but something fundamental has shifted. The burden is gone. The tasks are handled with an unexpected grace. The day is transformed, not because the outer circumstances necessarily changed first, but because you first changed the inner cause. The outer world, in its own time and in its own way, has no choice but to conform. This is the secret law of creation. You are not a beggar in a universe of scarcity. You are a sovereign consciousness in a universe of infinite spiritual substance, and your prayer is the act of aligning your inner world with the divine harmony that is its true nature. This brings us to the very heart of the mystery, the ultimate goal of all our inner work, the realization of a pre-existing divine harmony. All our striving, our begging, our frantic efforts to fix our lives are based on a colossal misunderstanding. We operate under the assumption that harmony is a condition that is absent, a state we must work to achieve, a prize we must persuade God to grant us. This belief is the root of all our spiritual anxiety. We are like a man standing in the bright, warm sunlight, praying for the sun to rise, all the while shivering because he is convinced he is in the dark. Our prayer in this mistaken state is not an act of communion, but an act of confession, a confession of our belief in separation from the very source of all good. The truth that will liberate you is this divine harmony is not a future event. It is the eternal and unchangeable reality of your being right now, in this instant. Your health, your abundance, your peace, your wholeness. These are not things to be created or earned. They are divine qualities inherent in the I am that you are. They constitute your true spiritual identity, which has never been sick, never been poor, never been lonely or afraid. The appearance of disease, lack, or conflict is the shadow on the wall, the projected image from a film of misidentification. You have been identifying with the character in the play, with all its trials and tribulations, and have forgotten that your true self is the playwright in whom only perfection exists. Effective prayer, then, is the conscious movement of withdrawing your faith from the appearance of discord and placing it upon the underlying reality of harmony. It is the act of remembering what has always been true. Consider a situation where you feel a deep sense of loneliness, a feeling of being disconnected and unseen by others. The outer picture, the world of effect, seems to confirm this reality. Your phone is silent, your calendar is empty, and a hollow ache seems to fill your chest. The traditional prayer would be to cry out, God, please send me a friend. Please end this loneliness. But this prayer, however heartfelt, only reinforces the power of the illusion. It is a prayer born from the belief that you are a separate, isolated self, and that connection is something external to you that must be acquired. The prayer of realization approaches this from the causal level. You sit in the silence, and you consciously turn away from the feeling of emptiness. You do not fight it. You simply withdraw your attention from it. You turn to the truth of your being. You begin to acknowledge, not as a hopeful sentiment, but as a present fact, I am one with the infinite love that is God. I am never alone, for the divine presence is my constant companion. The very substance of my being is unity and connection. As you abide in this truth, something remarkable begins to happen. You are not creating love. You are becoming aware of the love that has always been there, that constitutes your very being. The feeling of emptiness may not vanish in an instant, but its power over you is broken because you have stopped feeding it with your belief. You have shifted your consciousness from the effect, loneliness, to the cause, your innate and unbreakable unity with the divine. You have changed the film from one of separation to one of oneness. Now, watch how the outer world conforms. It may not happen that a crowd of friends appears at your door that very hour. The transformation is often more subtle and far more profound. You may find yourself moved to call an old acquaintance with a genuine warmth you haven't felt in years. You may strike up a conversation with a stranger and feel a true heart connection. The silence in your home may become peaceful and full rather than empty and aching. The outer circumstances reorganize themselves to reflect the inner harmony you have realized. The loneliness did not leave because people arrived, or the feeling of connection emerged because you first realized the truth that you were never alone. You stopped praying for the sun to rise and simply opened your eyes to the light that was already shining. This principle holds true for every human need. The harmony you seek in your body is already the truth of your being. The abundance you seek is already the substance of your life. The answer to every prayer is not a thing to be given, but a reality to be recognized. Your work is not to build the harmony, but to remove, through a shift in consciousness, the belief that it is absent. You are not a sculptor carving a statue of health from a block of sickness. You are an archaeologist, carefully brushing away the dust of illusion to reveal the masterpiece of perfection that was there all along. Every challenge you face is therefore not a call to battle, but an invitation to remembrance. It is an opportunity to turn within to the world of cause and to consciously align with the divine harmony that is the only permanent reality, allowing that reality to eclipse the temporary shadow of the problem. This recognition of a pre-existing harmony leads us directly to the most potent instrument we possess, the very key that unlocks this reality in our experience, the conscious use of the I am. Most of us use these words carelessly as a simple statement of identity, unaware of the creative fire we are handling. We say, I am tired. I am broke. I am sick. never realizing that with these declarations, we are not describing a temporary condition. We are, in fact, praying. We are announcing to the universe, from the very seat of our creative power, what we believe to be the ultimate truth of our being. We are taking the sacred name of God, I am, and attaching to it the very limitations we wish to be free from. This is the most profound misuse of our spiritual authority, and it is the reason so many live under a self-imposed curse of their own unaware making. The I am is not your name. It is the name of God, the creative principle of the universe, individualized as your life, your consciousness, your being. It is the uncreated, self-existent spirit within you. When you say, I am, you are not speaking of the human personality with its history and its problems. You are tapping into the infinite, formless, unconditioned presence. It is pure being. It is the screen upon which the movie of your personal life is projected, the paper upon which the story is written. To follow I am with any word of limitation is to limit the unlimited. It is to declare that God is sick, God is poor, God is afraid. Can you see the blasphemy of it? Not a moral blasphemy, but a practical, creative blasphemy that binds you to the very chains you pray to be released from. True prayer, therefore, is the conscious and deliberate use of this I am presence to affirm the reality of the harmony we have recognized. It is not an affirmation in the sense of convincing yourself of something you hope is true. It is an act of alignment. It is the conscious movement of attaching your I am, your God, self, only to the qualities of God. This is where you move from being a passive observer of your life to being its conscious author. When a feeling of fear arises, the human reaction is to say, I am afraid. This seals the fear into your consciousness, giving it a home and a name. The spiritual realization is to feel the sensation of fear, but to consciously declare from a deeper place, I am peace. You are not saying, I am trying to be peaceful. You are stating, from the causal level, the ultimate truth. You are not denying the human emotion. You are overriding it with a divine fact. You are, in that moment, changing the film in the projector from one of fear to one of peace. Let this become your spiritual practice in the marketplace of daily life. You are faced with a difficult conversation. The old pattern of anxiety begins to stir. Instead of letting the thought complete itself as, I am so nervous about this, you pause, you go within, and you consciously declare, I am grace and wisdom. You do not say it to the other person. You declare it to the universe, from the universe within you. You are not affirming this to become wise. You are affirming it because it is the truth of your being, and you are calling that truth forth into visible expression. You are programming the causal level of your experience. The conversation will then unfold from this new level of consciousness. The words you speak will carry a grace you did not personally manufacture. The wisdom that comes forth will surprise you. Or you open a bill that you cannot pay. The panic rises and the mind screams, I am in so much trouble. I am broke. This is the critical moment of prayer. This is where you must seize your spiritual authority. You turn from the paper, you close your eyes to the effect, and you go to the cause. You become still, and you announce, I am the infinite supply of God, manifest as all that I need. You feel the substance of that. You rest in the reality of it. You are not begging for money. You are aligning your consciousness with the source of all money, all substance, all form. You are not a person trying to get abundance. You are the very embodiment of abundance, realizing itself. From this aligned state, your actions will be guided. An idea for a solution may flash into your mind. An unexpected check may arrive. A resource you had forgotten may come to your attention. The outer effect must change to conform to the inner, because you have established. This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual law. The I am is the creative word. It is the power that spoke a universe into form. That same power is individualized in you, and every time you say, I am, you are wielding it, either to bind yourself to limitation or to free yourself into the harmony of your native state. Your every I am is a prayer. The question is, what are you praying for? Yet, to hear this, to truly wield the I am with power, requires a faculty that most of us have allowed to atrophy. We live in a world of constant noise, both outer and inner. Our days are filled with a relentless stream of thoughts, opinions, fears, and desires. A ceaseless chatter that forms a dense cloud between our awareness and the divine reality. We have become so identified with this internal dialogue that we mistake it for thinking, when in fact, it is mostly a conditioned reaction to the world of effect. To believe you can effectively declare, I am peace, while your mind is a raging storm of mental noise, is to add one more sound to the cacophony. It is like shouting a command into a hurricane and expecting to be obeyed. The power of the word cannot penetrate a consciousness that is not receptive, that is not, first and foremost, silent. This is the great and non-negotiable prerequisite, the cultivation of inner silence. This is not the silence of an empty mind, which is an impossible state for a human being, but the silence of a mind that has consciously and voluntarily withdrawn its attention from the whirlpool of its own thoughts and turned it toward the listening presence. It is a purposeful, active stillness. Think of your mind as a lake. The thoughts, worries, and sensory inputs are the winds and rocks that constantly disturb the surface, creating endless ripples and waves. In this state, you cannot see the depths. You cannot perceive the still, clear water beneath, nor can you see the perfect reflection of the sky above. The world you see is one of distortion and turmoil. The practice of silence is the conscious decision to let the winds die down, to allow the ripples to subside. It is in this settled state that the depths become visible and the perfect, undisturbed reflection of the divine can appear. This is why all effective prayer must begin not with speaking, but with listening. You must enter the silence, not to tell God what you need, but to allow God to reveal what you are. It is in this holy hush that the I am can be felt as a living presence, rather than just spoken as a word. It is here that the declaration, "I am health," ceases to be a hopeful affirmation and becomes a tangible, felt reality, a wave of vitality that you witness and acknowledge within your own being. The silence is the womb in which spiritual realization is conceived and born. Without it, your truth declarations are just more thoughts added to the pile of thoughts, more ripples on a disturbed surface. So how do we achieve this in the relentless rush of daily life? It begins with a deliberate pause. It does not require an hour of seated meditation, though that is a beautiful practice. It can be done in the moment of need, in the very face of the problem. The phone rings with bad news, and the storm of anxiety immediately begins to gather. This is your moment. Instead of being swept away by the first wave of fear, you stop. You close your eyes, if only for a few seconds. You consciously take your attention away from the alarming story the mind is already writing. You feel the breath moving in and out of your body, not to control it, but simply to anchor your awareness in something physical and present. You are not trying to stop your thoughts. You are simply ceasing to engage with them. You are letting the storm rage without adding any more energy to it. You are, in effect, stepping out of the wind. In this space, however brief, you have created a pocket of silence. You have lowered a bucket into the depths of the still lake. Now, and only now, can you effectively introduce the word. From this quiet center, you might inwardly whisper, "I am peace." And because the surface is momentarily still, the word sinks in. It does not bounce off the chaotic surface of your mind. It penetrates to the causal level. You feel its meaning rather than just think its words. A palpable sense of calm may descend, or you may simply have the conviction that you have touched something real beneath the temporary turmoil. The problem has not vanished, but you have changed your relationship to it. You have moved from being Ev in the storm to being the Ev awareness that contains the storm. From this position of silent strength, your subsequent actions, the phone call you make, the decision you take, will be guided by a wisdom that is not your own, but which flows through the channel you have opened in the silence. This is the sacred exchange. You give up the noise of your own reasoning, and you receive the silent, sure guidance of the divine. The power of your prayer is in direct proportion to the depth of the silence from which it emerges. And so we arrive at the fruit of this entire journey, the tangible evidence that this is not a theoretical philosophy, but a living truth. The outer world begins to conform to your inner spiritual consciousness. This is the demonstration, the sign that you have moved from being a student of truth to a living witness of its power. It is not that you have wrestled control of your life from some external fate. It is that you have aligned your consciousness, the cause, with the divine harmony that is its source and the world of effect. Your health, your relationships, your circumstances has no choice but to faithfully reflect that new, higher state of being. You are not manipulating the world. You are allowing the world to be recreated from within. You are the lens through which the infinite light of spirit is focused. And as you polish the lens, the nature of the light that shines through you into your world becomes more harmonious, more peaceful, and more whole. This is the great secret the mystics of all ages have known. They did not change the world by fighting against it. They changed their consciousness of it, and the world, being but a shadow, had to change in accordance. You are not here to make a sick world well. You are here to realize the health of God as your own eternal reality, and as you do, the appearance of sickness in your particular experience loses its foundation and must dissolve. Watch for this. Do not look for grandiose, theatrical miracles that defy the laws of physics. Look for the subtle, undeniable rearrangements that occur when you have first established a new truth within. You have spent the morning in a deep, silent realization of divine abundance, not as a future hope, but as a present fact. You felt the substance of it. You knew the truth of it. Later that day, you find yourself effortlessly bypassing a frivolous purchase that would have once tempted you, not out of deprivation, but from a place of deep, internal fulfillment that has no need for it. That is the outer world conforming. Or an unexpected check arrives for an amount you had forgotten was owed to you. This is not a coincidence. It is a demonstration. The outer picture of lack had to reorganize itself to match your inner conviction of supply. Consider a relationship that has been strained by resentment. You have tried to change the other person. You have replayed their offenses in your mind, and the conflict has only deepened. Then you take the work within. You enter the silence, and you turn completely away from the picture of the difficult person. You do not pray for them to change. You pray for your own consciousness to be healed of the belief in separation and conflict. You realize in the depths of your soul, I am one with the peace of God. The love of God is the only reality operating here. You abide in that truth until you feel it. You have changed the film in the projector. The next time you encounter this person, something is different. You may find that the old trigger no longer provokes the same heat in you. Your response is calm, perhaps even compassionate. And because you have changed, the entire dynamic of the relationship is forced to change. The other person, perhaps disarmed by your lack of reaction, may soften their own stance. Or the situation may resolve in a way you never could have engineered. The outer form of the relationship has conformed to your inner spiritual consciousness. This is the ultimate proof, and it is a proof that is offered to you not once, but in every moment of challenge. The headache that fades not because you took a pill, but because you sat in the silent realization of, I am wholeness, until the bodily condition had to yield to the spiritual truth. The looming deadline that once caused panic, but now, after a moment of aligning with, I am infinite intelligence and order, unfolds with a surprising and effortless grace. These are not small things. They are the universe whispering its confirmation to you. They are the evidence that you are no longer a victim of a capricious world, but a conscious participant in its divine orchestration. Your life becomes a living prayer, a continuous dialogue between your inner knowing and its outer manifestation. You stop looking for signs and become the source of them. You are not waiting for your good to appear. You are realizing it from within and watching with a sense of sacred awe as the visible world gracefully, inevitably, and perfectly arranges itself around the light of your awakened consciousness.